Hey Mini fans, welcome back to another episode. Right, so I'm at this end of the car, not that end. So yes, I've decided, as I said on previous episode, I'm going to try and do the boot floor next. I may regret this decision, but it's got to be done at some point, so we'll have to hit it, you know, when we hit it. And while I've got the spot welder, my mate might want that back, so doing these edges is going to be a lot easier with that. So there's obviously a lot of cutting and cleaning back and stuff to do. Some of you may not like this choice, but I'm not actually going to change the whole thing back to the top of the seat. I'm actually probably going to cut it somewhere here-ish. I haven't really worked it out yet, but just at the very edge of the rear of the seat base, I'm going to cut that along here and then fit the panel in. I've bought a Heritage floor. I don't think there's any other one. I think there is some pattern parts actually. I think there is some pattern floors, but I've gone for a Heritage panel. So yes, I'm going to get this fitted. And then we can have a solid floor. But let's show you now what we've got to play with and how bad it is at the moment. Right, so the jig's in the way, that doesn't help, but we'll do the best we can. So this corner is actually not too bad. This is pretty okay all the way around there. The main reason I'm doing it is really for the spare wheel well. You can see there's holes here, there's one over here. It's, you know, it's thin, it's rusty, it's not great. We've got a hole in the top section of the battery box, and usual rust in the corner over here. You know, it's mainly really, you've got some rust on the back edge. It's mainly really that the spare wheel well is the main reason I'm changing it. Let's have a look on the underside. Okay, so close look from underside. There's a lot of old underseal, etc. on here. It doesn't look too bad when you look from the bottom, I suppose, to be fair. Obviously this is all rusty and thin. We've got obviously the holes that we said here. From the underside, this spare wheel well doesn't look as bad, but obviously I think the underseal is what's make it look better. We've got the battery box, got a hole in the bottom of it, and obviously there's that hole on the underside here. And then we've got our rotten corner here. So yeah, I'm just gonna go with a whole new one, get it done properly. It may be a mammoth task, but at least once it's done, isn't it? So yeah, so as you can see, it's not very pretty. There's a lot of rust on the boot floor, especially on the inside. I think once you start grinding that back, I think you're just gonna have no decent metal to weld to. I'm going to get on with getting this under seal off best I can, get this cleaned up, get some clean metal to work back to. Hopefully that we won't have to take too much of the panel and go back too far. Hopefully we will just be able to go back to this point. It looks like it should be okay, but obviously until we get that under seal and grind it back, we won't know. And then once I've got that off, then we can cut round and get this panel out. I've obviously got to watch out for those brackets that are in these corners, and I've got to think about the tank bracket that goes on the bottom. I'll have to try and pick that off as well. I don't think it's on the new one because obviously I don't think they're on the MPIs. And obviously we're going to have a different section here for the fuel lines. I could take this out and put this across onto the new panel, but I'm actually toying the idea of keeping the MPI one and having that nice boot. Because then if I do decide to MPI this shell in the future, which is something I'd like to do, just for reliability, etc., then it'll already be there. So, but it's I'm just future-proofing is all I'm doing there. So, I better stop talking and get grinding, haven't I? Let's get on with it. Well, there we go. Look at that nice orange paint. Just chips right off. So I'll do the rest of it, but I just thought I'd just quickly show you. It's all coming off quite nicely. Just chip it off. Okay, so as you can see from the nice big orange area, I've chipped all the under seal off. You can see along here it's a bit like Swiss cheese. So yeah, the floor was, every time I was punching at it, it just went straight through. So I think, yeah, good idea to change the boot floor. This all seems to be okay. I've got one small hole here, but obviously I I can patch that up. Yeah, so this is all looking pretty good. Obviously I've just got to keep working my way around the edge and get it all cleaned off, and then yeah, then we get on to cutting. But it's nice to see the original colour, isn't it? Okay, so I've removed all the undersill from the arch, and you can see the original paint underneath here. It looks very nice. But you can see just here, I'm assuming this is factory, got some run marks along here. That's quite funny, isn't it? Wow. That's the tank bottom support bracket out. I'll have to clean that up later, but at least I've got that out in one piece. Okay, so that was a bit of work. I've cleaned all the edges back. What I'll do is I'll bring you in and you can have a closer look and see what I've done. Okay, so I've cleaned this edge back. I've taken the what's left of the boot floor out around the wheel arch, cleaned all the layers back to the bracket in the corner, and then obviously I've trimmed the rest. I've got to take the rest of the of this back bit off. I need to put the panel in place and then decide where exactly I'm going to you know, have that edge. So my current thinking is to cut this back level to here and then have a step and then weld it along this edge. That's the current thinking, but yeah, I'll decide when I've got the panel in place and then see how it lands. Right, let's get this panel. Okay, here it is. We have a complete Heritage rear boot floor, including base seat for the rear. The part number for the part is HMP 441016. So the plan for it is obviously to cut this down, get it roughly in place, and then see how much we've got to trim off to make it fit perfectly. So let's get on with that. I've committed to the idea of cutting back level with the back seat. I'm glad I did, because if you see down here, rust. So on this section I haven't cut yet, you can see that it folds round around that rear panel, and it becomes sort of like a trap. So you can't really get in there without cutting it off. So I'm really glad that I've cut this section back. Obviously this is coming off. I'm just going to pull that off in a second. But just to show you, so yeah, I've pulled this back and it's just rust. Obviously it's only surface, we can clean that back. But I'm really glad I'm going with this idea. So we get a nice clean edge. I could just put the new panel over, weld along the edge, and then we'll get a nice strong finish with, you know, no rust. Just to show you before I clean it all back, now I've cut the edge off, you can see how rusty it is. There we go, that's all cleaned up pretty good, I think. At least we got it before it started really rotting the panel out, because we wouldn't have noticed it until it came through at the bottom of the seat. I've offered up the panel and then had a little bit of a play so far. It's, I think, well, who knows, obviously panels change over time. I know that they've pressed a lot of these out over the years, so I suppose they're not going to be spot on, but obviously in the corners here just need a little bit of fettling, and what I'm doing is I've left the top bit in situ. It's pretty close, and I'm just sort of manipulating the bottom edge, just trying to get that to fold round nicely. But I'm kind of glad I've cut it, because I expect trying to get the whole thing to line up would probably be even worse. So going by the holes here for now, and obviously that back edge, using that existing panel, rear panel, what's left of it, to give me an idea of roughly where the panel should sit. and then yeah, when I've got it all lined up, then I can trim this off properly, off rail up again. My plan is to actually trial fit the subframe, make sure that fits. Obviously it's a subframe that has come off another car, so it's all lined up. You know, I haven't adjusted it to suit this. It's come off a car that's straight, so I'm going to offer that up to this. Make sure that the holes all line up. Make sure that we're all okay. I don't want to fit it all, fit the subframe to this. Obviously, you know, I could probably get it to go, but then, you know, find that I'm literally 45 degrees down the road. You know, someone's following me and you can see my driver's door or whatever. So yes, anyway, I'm going to stop waffling. I'm going to get on with fitting this panel, and then we can trim it down and get it welded on. I've cut the floor panel, or the boot panel should I say, at the front here, and got this fitting quite nicely, so it's all ready to be spot welded, or well, seam welded on this part, spot welded on the rest. I've put the reference subframe, let's call it, in position. It's all fitting quite nicely, the holes are lining up, so we're all good to go. I think I'm going to put some tack welds in just to sort of hold it in place, so that I can take the subframe back off, and then I can go round the whole lot. So I'm going to get on with that next. I've got all 4 corners welded now. I can now take the subframe off and finish welding all the way around. I'm not doing the back edge because I'm going to leave that until we get the back panel on. There's nothing to weld to anyway at the moment. So yeah, when we get the back panel on, then we can weld those two together. But I'll get obviously the front edge seam welded, and I'll get the spot welds done on the other 2 sides. And also I need to do the welding on the boot floor for the brackets that hold the bolts for the rear subframe part, and in the corners etc as well. So but let's get on with welding this and get the subframe off. That's the boot floor done, all spot welded, both sides. Where I've missed it, or well, not missed it, but where the spot welder wasn't getting continuity, I've just used the MIG welder just to fill in those little bits. I can grind those back to make them look a bit nicer, but they're pretty much okay as they are. It's underneath the floor, no one's really going to see it. I'm going to put some primer on, obviously to protect them in between. The brackets, obviously I've done on the back here, you obviously saw me doing those. I'll show you a close-up of those just so that you can see that how I've done them. I've just gone round the edge really, but I'll show you them now. And there you go, welded just around the edge a little bit, just to give it something just to hold it to the floor. We can always do a bit more at a later date, but at least that's now attached to the floor and we can get on with the next bit. So yeah, as you can see they're done. So maybe rear panel next. We'll see. I might go onto the front. Don't know, but you know, we're getting there one panel at a time. I just want to say, please like and subscribe. It's all great. I love seeing the subscribers coming in. There's, you know, there's ones every now and then. It's so good to see a new subscriber. I know that there's gaps in between the videos. I try and get them done as soon as I can. You know, I know there's gaps bigger than I would like, but you know, as soon as I can get some videos together and I've got the time, I will get them done. And this car will get done. It will. I don't know when, what year, but it will get done. So thanks for hanging in there, and I'll see you soon.